Hello, this is Ava from Soul GPS. I wanted to welcome you to my channel and present to you a new video. Today, what I'm going to talk to you about is the idea of how a relationship with a narcissist shrinks your world and your brain. And as you may know, the two are intricately connected. It is something that I go much deeper in my new program called Unchained that is now available through my website. But I wanted to talk a little bit more about this because I feel like this information is really important. And for some of you who may be wondering why you're feeling the way that you're feeling, why you're in this brain fog, why is it more difficult to concentrate, and why are you only thinking in terms of two alternatives or three alternatives, and maybe your world has been narrowed to just one alternative. You know, there's only one solution here, if there is one at all. Sometimes you may feel so trapped that there seems to be no way out of the maze. So I'm here to tell you that there is a way out, and what you are feeling is the result of being under constant stress from the relationship. And there's a concept that keeps coming up in my sessions when I speak with my clients, and I wanted to share this with you because I think that it pretty nicely illustrates what we are dealing with when we get into a relationship with someone who is a narcissist, with someone who lacks empathy, someone who doesn't possess the tools or the will or the desire or the motivation to really understand how their partner feels, and who exploits that. It's as simple as that. It's exploited. So the concept is a visual of walking a tightrope. This was the experience that I had, and I had that experience actually not only in my relationships with narcissists, but also in my relationships with people who were emotionally unavailable, or who were hiding their true intentions, who are not necessarily showing you the cards, who are not really open, who whatever the reason may be. So this kind of applies to maybe even a little bit of a broader field of relationships than just narcissistic, but it's definitely an element in a narcissistic relationship. And I want to address something here before I get into the meat of this video, and that is, you know, a lot of comments come up about, you know, that, well, you should have known, you shouldn't have gotten into a relationship like this, you know, all of you people who are, you know, just raining down on the narcissist. And it's, when you see these kinds of comments, if you read them under the video, just know that oftentimes they come from people who really don't understand, who haven't been in this situation, who are just, it's very difficult to explain this experience. And while there is some truth in the sense that, yes, there were signs, yes, we did get involved with people who weren't capable of giving us what we wanted, you know, or who were shut down, or who were very manipulative and narcissistic, but that is not something that you know right off the bat, right? If abusers were only mean, then the game would be over. We would be able to see pretty quickly who we're dealing with here, right? And make an informed decision, even though it may be hurtful because, you know, we like this person and we want to help them, but because of how they're constantly behaving, you're just like, no, this is not healthy, this is wrong, and you walk away. But what makes this topic so relevant and so rich, and makes us keep coming back to this and want to understand why it's so hard to understand, why so many books, great books, have been written about this topic, and why so few psychologists know about this and can explain this, is because it is such a veiled experience. It is you know, these people are not just mean, they're also incredibly charming and sweet, and they can pretend to be, they can act as if they're bringing the world on the plate, especially in the early stages. And for someone to come into this community, in this channel, and criticize, I mean, everyone's free to say whatever they want to. But if the comments are mean, I block these people and I delete the comments, because we do not need to see this. We do not need to be re-traumatized or re-triggered. We don't need that. But it's, it's easy to say these things when you haven't, experienced this. But because the world is absolutely full of people in the gray zone, if you were to draw like a bell curve, and on one end you have people who are hyper empathic, who are just, living their life for other people, and they're like the prime targets, right, for narcissists. And on the other hand, you have really dark characters who are just roaming the world, roaming the streets, with one thing in mind, and that is to find a target, to exploit people, to use them, and to not have to really do anything in the world that's productive, that is of value. They feel they're so entitled, they're so grandiose, that the world and other people owe them. So these are the extremes, right? So and then there's a lot of people in the gray zone. And when you look at the people in the gray zone, there are a lot of people who, maybe have narcissistic tendencies or have narcissistic characteristics. They have some, they've picked up some of their, God, the word escapes me right now, but you know what I'm saying. They're not full on NPD, but they have some tools up their sleeve. They maybe have learned that maybe they've been hurt in the past. Maybe they have encountered people who have been mean early in their life, and they have learned to deal with that. Maybe they're just angry people with a lot of unresolved issues. Again, that doesn't necessarily need to mean that they're NPD, but they are walking around and they may be hurting other people, whether they know it or not. And for people who are very sensitive, like myself, I can pick up on this. And back in my early days of healing, I would, and I did it as a protection for myself, I would kind of like quickly label this person, like, this person is dangerous, like I don't want to be around them because they're triggering me. Now that I've been through much more healing therapy, I've gotten to know myself, my inner landscape much better. I have much more of a buffer zone, and I can deal with people who may be displaying some of these characteristics, but are not necessarily, exploitative all the way. So I just want to say that it can be very confusing. It can be very confusing for people, especially coming out of these really difficult relationships, and looking for help, looking for guidance on this channel, and then maybe coming across a comment like this and going like, okay, was there something wrong with me? Maybe I am a narcissist, right? We go through these endless thought loops that can really trigger a lot of negative emotions and make us doubt ourselves, and put us back in that state that we were in when we were constantly being blamed for everything in a relationship. So the reason why I bring this up is just know that there's going to be a lot of gray zone here, and don't be too hard on yourself, especially in the beginning as you're going through this. Also, because you will be in a foggy state, it's better. I think I'm glad that I did what I did, that I put a lot of boundaries on. I approached people with much more caution than I used in the past, and it served me. I think it helped me to, put enough space between myself and those who could potentially hurt me. So I want you to know that. So back to the topic. I have a tendency to go off tangents in case you haven't noticed, but back to the topic about walking the tightrope. It's the experience where you enter the relationship with the idea that you met someone special, you met someone who is able to really see you, who is able to really feel you, and you're getting a lot of attention from them. Now, here's just a quick side note that I want to make, where a lot of people, a lot of coaches out there may be assigning some special powers to the narcissist, like they're like extra intuitive, like they are, they have some special kind of ability to read your mind and understand you. I think that a lot of people see us. I've been thinking about it a lot lately, and I think that people see us, but the narcissist has that extra agenda, that ulterior motive, that they want something from you. So they're going to like see you times 100, so to speak, right? They're going to really get close, like get right in your face, like find where that boundary is, and they're going to push right through it. So that doesn't mean that this is the only person that quote unquote sees you. A lot of people see you. People you encounter in your daily life see you just like you see other people. You may have the ability, especially if you are highly empathic, that you can look at a person in a room or on the street and you can kind of almost sense what they're feeling and what they're thinking, right? Maybe you see somebody sad and you go like, wow, well, this person's having a hard time. Maybe you send them some love, right? Some good energy, and you walk by. You don't have an ulterior motive. You don't want to use this person. Whereas a narcissist would see that kind of person and go, this person is having a hard time. They feel lonely right now. They're vulnerable. Why don't I walk up to them and and give them what they want, what they need. Let them know that they're being seen. Well, the narcissist might not go through this exact train of thought. They might make a decision in a snap of a moment, quickly. Just zoom right in on this person, and just, it's like they're drawn because they feel like, oh, here's a bird with a broken a broken wing, and I can help, right? And so immediately when somebody, like, let's now switch the scenario. Now you're the one with the person with the broken wing, right? And you're sulking and you're feeling hurt and you're processing something. Maybe you just lost a loved one. Maybe you got heavily and unjustly criticized at work for something maybe you did or you haven't done, whatever. You're processing. You're in a difficult place right now. So this person walks up to you and they ask like, are you okay? Is there anything you need? Of course, they're going to come up bearing gifts. They're not going to walk up to you and say, well, you look like you could, use some manipulation. Right? They're not going to do that. They're going to come and do something. So then what happens usually in those situations is you feel like you may owe them one, right? Well, they were so nice. I want to be nice back. And that's where the dance begins. But don't tell me, somebody who's never been through this exploitative experience, this hurtful betrayal, that, you should have known right off the bat. No, you shouldn't have known. It's difficult to tell because these people in the beginning act really nice. They act really nice. And some of them, this is really a topic for another video, but some of them can go as far as really connect with their own wounding, which everyone has a wound, and the wound is pretty similar, and it's usually typically stems from fear of abandonment and fear of loneliness, fear of feeling insignificant, and it manifests in different shades and colors depending on where you are on the spectrum, whether you're more on the empathic giver person, the very forgiving, innocent, somewhat naive person. Yeah, I'll admit it, I used to be quite naive, thinking everyone was good. Or whether you're the person who is very much in a survival mode and wants to exploit other people, who feels like the world owes them, and so on and so forth. So you get it. It's like we're predisposed to fall somewhere on one side or the other. The lucky ones are the ones who are in the middle and understand this. And that's where I think the healing is leading us to a more balanced place, when we're able to put ourselves first and take good care of ourselves, but also our heart is open and we can connect with people and recognize, be able to tell, the good seeds from the bad seeds as quickly as possible. But unless you have this information, unless you've been through this initiation, it's really difficult to tell, who you're dealing with in the beginning, especially if you're still innocent, if you haven't been through a painful experience like that. Especially if you've been told, maybe even growing up at home, that, you need to be good towards people. You need to give people chances. It's okay to trust, sometimes it doesn't even have to mean that you were raised in a toxic family to be like this, to be susceptible to narcissistic targeting. So it can happen to virtually anyone. So I'm just drawing an example, one of many. So what happens is, you feel like, wow, this person was so nice. They came to me in a moment of need. And because you are rationalizing and projecting, there's always some projections at play here, that this is something that if you did that to someone, that would mean that you really thought highly of them. But the narcissist, when they do something like that, that doesn't mean they're thinking necessarily highly of you. They think that you have something they want. You can help them with something, right? In the beginning, when they get all enthralled by their partner, they put them in a spotlight. They shine a lot of light. They want them to become like the star of their movie. They will project a lot of idealization, a lot of perfections. They are very obsessed with perfectionism. With perfection in general. They want everything that's best because, again, they feel entitled. They want everything that's best. So they will do their own deal of projections when they will want you to behave a certain way. They will project an image onto you without really barely knowing you. This all happens quickly within first few days of knowing this person, within first few hours, within first few minutes. Literally, this happens. So it's it can be difficult to wrap your head around this, but it's kind of the same pattern that repeats on different time scales, from momentary, just like one interaction, to a few days of a relationship, to a few months, to a few years. It just keeps on repeating. It's the same pattern that keeps going on, and that is, projecting the image of the perfection onto their new target and feeling as if, I finally met somebody who really sees me, because see, they want to be seen. They want to be acknowledged. They want to be treated the way that they are treating you during those first moments of interaction. So when you kind of process in your own mind, wow, they're so nice to me, I'm going to be nice back to them, that is exactly what they want, right? So you're entering this idealized, this idyllic fantasy world where everybody treats each other like they're just, a king and a queen, just royalty, right? Again, remember, keep this in mind. You don't know who this person is. This person doesn't know who you are. But because you know who you are, and because they know who they are, let's stick with you. We'll make it simple. Because you know who you are and you're feeling seen, we kind of make this weird presumption that this person really knows you through and through, right? That they really know who you are. But they don't, right? It just kind of feels that way. So, because you know yourself, again, right? It's projection. It's innocent. It's automatic. Just knowing that we project all the time, pretty much. What projection means, real quick, is when you have this deep ingrained belief that people think and view the world the way you are, the way you do, right? The way you do. So a relationship with narcissists really breaks that open and brings this assumption out in the open. And because you're actually dealing with a very much of a contrasting worldview, which can seem like it's shattering your own. So this is a big topic. This was going to be a quick video, but I've been getting a lot of requests for longer videos lately. So here's my gift for you. I'll just keep going into this. So what happens is, you feel like you're being seen, you're being treated really nicely. Although there's always like this little part of your mind that's going, well, but something's off. It's too much. It's too quick. It's like this person really doesn't know me, right? It's like there is a part of your mind that is whispering to you. It can be your intuition, it can be your critical mind, your critical thinking mind. Maybe you've been through something similar before, but you're hurt, so this love, this attention you're getting feels so good. It's like you can't say no to it. So some time passes, I'm getting to the tightrope scenario. Some time passes, and you're starting to notice that you're getting these criticisms, and you're feeling like your partner is disappointed with you because you're failing to uphold this perfection projection that they have slapped onto you. You're not the person that they thought that you were. And so as an empathic person, you're picking up on this, and you're trying really hard to be as good as you possibly can. One, because you want to have a loving relationship, because you want to feel the way you did in the beginning when it was really nice. You don't want to disappoint in other people. Maybe you have people-pleasing tendencies when you put other people first before you, because that's how you discern your own value. That's how you connect with your self-worth, is through how other people receive you. Whatever this may be, whatever this mixture is that is animated within you, you are starting to feel like there's nothing you can do for long enough for this person to treat you in a consistent, positive way. And because they're incapable of having a clear-cut communication that leads to a healthy resolution, where it's a more of a win-win situation where it requires, instead of like I won, you lost, which is what narcissists love, is they love to win battles, or when it's some place where they can blame you, or whatever they may be, so they're in the control position. You have to constantly adjust your own behavior in order to find that sweet spot. And that sweet spot is going to get narrower and narrower. And the reason why I mention emotionally available, unavailable partners who can also create that atmosphere, so we're broadening it out a little bit, is that there can be an experience where you, on one hand, want to be agreeable and want to bring in this sort of a peaceful energy with you into the relationship. So you are conflict averse, because that person might make you feel or actually they can state it out loud that they do not wish to have any conflict in the relationship. They want things to be just so. You got to conform or else, right? But at the same time, if you are too much in the agreeable state, they're going to get bored, which is what narcissists typically are. They're going to get bored and they will start to disrespect you and walk all over you. So you can't really speak out, because then the person is going to threaten to, either leave you, they may pull out the big guns, whatever it may be, or get into an exhaustive argument with you or punish you some other way. Silent treatment is, a frequent weapon of choice. Or if you do speak up, or if you do, the other way, if you don't speak up, but if you stay quiet, at first it may seem like things are good, but you can feel the tension is still there. You can't be fully yourself. You can't be authentic. And you are losing their respect, and the relationship is just completely getting deflated from all energy. So it's that tightrope walk. You can't speak up too much. You can't be too quiet, and it's like finding this thing. It's absolutely exhausting, and you can see how that will narrow your world. In addition to that, when your brain will start to pick up that something's off here, the alarm bells will start to go off. So you will begin to live with this constant obsession and rumination, like what's wrong with this, what's wrong in the relationship, what's happening. And because you are I'm addressing the empaths here, obviously not the narcissist. Because you are a sensitive person who picks up other people's energies and wants to make things good and nice, you're going to most likely take things on your own shoulders and feel like, okay, well, it's probably me, it's probably my fault, what is it that I'm doing wrong? All the while not seeing that it is the relationship itself that's broken, that's flawed, that it will never work out, because you have put the other person first way too much. In either case, left or right, if you speak out and try to let them know that you are the one who needs help, who needs to be understood, who needs to be heard, but you don't do it because you're afraid of the person leaving, then you are still putting that other person first. You're not allowing yourself to be fully yourself, to fully speak out. And it can be very tricky in narcissistic relationships, because that can endanger you. That can put you in a situation where you can't be safe, right? So it's you're caught in this double bind where you can't say too much because you will encounter the wrath of the narcissist, the wrath of the abuser. And if you don't say enough, you will be disrespected, you will likely be cheated on. Eventually they always look out for other sources of supply. And so one way or another, this relationship just can't work. So the reason why I'm saying this is because once you get to that stage, and this can be very difficult to realize or to accept, is that this relationship just is impossible, right? It's the idea is so painful because you want to make it work and you're trying really hard, and usually you end up being the only person who's carrying all the weight of this relationship on your shoulder. So, and what adds to this is the brain is going to get hurt. So not only your world will shrink, you can only act in a very, certain way to avoid a blowout and to get a little bit of crumbs of attention. But also your brain is going to start shrinking. And that's literally what happens, is when the amygdala gets overstimulated by the constant rumination and alarms and the stress, it will begin to eat away at the hippocampus, which is the memory center of the brain. And it can make it very difficult for you to feel like, you're operating in a world with a lot of options. It will feel like you only have one or two options or no options. This is the way I opened this video, right? So know that this is a result of your brain also being affected by the situation. It can often feel as if you are just literally living in a fog state. Chronic pain can set in, chronic fatigue can set in, psychosomatic illnesses will start coming up, your immunity will shut down. I remember this is what happened to me. Throughout my adult life, I've been plagued with little things. I had a back pain, I had this, I had that, but I've learned to manage most of these things. But when you're hit with it so hard, where your brain starts to feel the effects of what you've been through, what happens is it's almost like we talk about the need for boundaries, but it's almost as if like all the veils thin out and you become almost transparent. And every hit that you get from the outside world feels like it's just going right through you. So we become very vulnerable. So if that's been your experience, then know that's what happens. That's what is quote unquote normal in this insane dynamic. So what do? First thing you need to get yourself to safety, because the brain is not going to start to shift into a full-on recovery mode until you are safe. So that may mean getting your own place, moving in with a friend, moving in with your family, planning a divorce. Sometimes, and this is something that happens with some of my clients, is that because they're such good people, I don't know if it's the providence, some higher forces step in, maybe so. But once they start to plan to leave, and they may not even know exactly how they're going to orchestrate it. It's almost as if the universe rushes in with help and new solutions begin to appear. So once you stop denying that what you're in, the dynamic you're in, is as unhealthy as it really is, solutions will open up. If you have children, that's a question I get asked often. If you have children, what do you do? How do you work it out? I can't answer that right now in this video, because obviously this would have to be an 8-hour video, because it depends on the situation. It depends on where you are in your life and how old your kids are, how your children are, and so on and so forth. But solutions will start to present themselves. There is a way out. There's always a way out of the maze. There is no maze that doesn't have an exit. Every single one has, but you will have to start to form those boundaries. You will have to learn to care for yourself to the point where you put yourself first and you validate your own reality, you validate your own world. You have to be very careful about taking within yourself, internalizing the perceptions of the narcissist, which is something that tends to happen too in those relationships. So just be very aware of this. You'll have to work through this. One really good exercise for the brain, it's really, 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 really simple, and that helps to synchronize your brain hemispheres and give you some relief, is naming your emotions out loud. To actually say, okay, this is what I'm feeling right now, and speaking to yourself out loud. I often talk about the self-therapy that I did when I was going through some of the worst of my own experience, and I would take long walks in nature, whether it was cold or rainy. I would just go out just to breathe fresh air, to move energy in my body, which also helps to bring you closer to solutions and unstuck you. It's like if your body is stuck in one place, it's very difficult to get solutions bigger, to get your mind to open up, so to speak. It's like the physical and the perceptive are very much connected, and that's why I also wanted to title this this video that the relationship shrinks your world and your brain. It both works on the physical level and also on a perceptive level. So going outside and actually speaking to yourself out loud, doesn't matter if somebody thinks, you know, you're walking in the park and you must be crazy talking to yourself. Thank goodness today I don't have headphones next to me right now, but you can just put a headphone in your ear and walk, and just put the other end in your pocket, and it may seem like you're just speaking to a friend, right? So to get it out of your system, talk it out, know the importance of setting boundaries. I've made a lot of videos on boundaries, so you can check them out. And also, just want to put it out there that when you're under a lot of stress and you can't sleep, you have high anxiety, I've been through it. And so I want to tell you that there are a couple of things that I did, that I took as supplements, that were incredibly helpful. There's a video I also did on supplementation that you might want to check out for more comprehensive presentation on this, but two in particular are incredibly effective, and that is magnesium and ashwagandha. So you can look into that if you're dealing with a lot of anxiety. So I go into these topics in much more detail in my newly released program. It's a 12-step program. It's about 12 weeks, about 3 months, although you can do it a little bit faster, and especially the first half of the program, which is a lot of theory, a lot of presentation about who the narcissist is, why you got caught up, and why you got into the trap, how does bonding with a narcissist work, you know, how does it occur, what are the stages that we go through. You can go through it much faster, but then once you get to actual recovery steps, you might want to take it a little bit slower and bring those practices into your daily life, so that it's internalized and it's something that gives you a sustainable platform to live out of. So this program was really made to help people break trauma bonds, which can be very tricky and difficult and take time. So if you're interested, I invite you to check it out. Information is on my website, mysoulgps.org, and also below this video. So I hope that this video was helpful to you with the information I presented. If you are feeling like you're walking the tightrope in any relationship, just know that it's a sign of it being unhealthy. It's a dance of two, of course, so there are certain things that you can also do in order to get out of that dynamic. If it's narcissistic, if it's highly abusive, then the best thing you can do for yourself is get out. If it is a relationship that it's still in its early stages and you're feeling that there can be still potential for it to work out, you have to speak your truth. You have to show up authentically. And if there's something you don't like about the dynamic that's being set in, that's being formed, you have to let the other person know. You have to let them know what your boundaries are. You have to know what their needs are, what your needs are, your expectations are. You need to let them know what's not working. It's okay to argue in relationships. It's okay to have conflict. Don't shy away from it so much. If it's too much, and if you're afraid of losing this person because you speak out your mind, that means there's still some work you need to do on yourself, because you can't be in a relationship where you are constantly shunned, you are made to be quiet, you're shut down. It's just not going to work. So sooner or later, it is going to fall apart. So if you're still, again, in those early stages and you feel like this relationship has a potential, make sure you speak out, and don't be afraid of losing this person. Don't be afraid. You need to know that you are the one who's most important here. You need to know that you need to stick by yourself first and foremost. And if it's not this person, if this relationship is not it, then there will be somebody else. There will be another one. But most importantly, you keep your dignity, you stick to your truth, and you have your self-respect, and you learn to speak out and tell the other person and the world who you are, and show up in your authenticity. So again, I hope this was helpful. Leave your comments down below. If you have issues with what I'm presenting here because you haven't been through the narcissistic relationship yourself, and you think that what I'm talking about is just crazy talk, then spare yourself your own time and energy and go listen to other channels, because this channel is for people who have experienced tremendous pain of betrayal and who are trying to put their life back together. So have some respect and just go somewhere else. Otherwise, welcome. I hope that you're able to get some relief and some love here, because that's what my intention is. So thank you so much. Have a great day, and I look forward to meeting you in another video. Bye bye.